River. Jude Phoenix was an American actor and musician. Phoenix grew up in an itinerant family, as the older brother of Rain Phoenix, Joaquin Phoenix, Liberty Phoenix, and Summer Phoenix. He had no formal schooling, but showed an instinctive talent for the guitar. He began his acting career at age 10 in television commercials. He starred in the science fiction adventure film Explorers and had his first notable role in 1980's IXS Stand By Me, a coming-of-age film based on the novella The Body by Stephen King. Phoenix made a transition into more adult-oriented roles with Running on Empty, playing Danny Pope, the son of fugitive parents in a well-received performance that earned him a nomination for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, and My Own Private Idaho, playing Michael Waters, a gay hustler in search of his estranged mother. For his performance in the latter, Phoenix garnered enormous praise and won a Volpe Cup for Best Actor at the 1991 Venice Film Festival, as well as Independent Spirit Award for Best Male Lead and National Society of Film Critics Award for Best Actor, becoming the second youngest winner of the former. Phoenix died at age 23 from combined drug intoxication in West Hollywood in the early hours of Halloween 1993, having overdosed on cocaine and heroin at the Viper Room. Early life. Phoenix was born on August 23, 1970, in Madras, Oregon, the first child of Arlene Dunetz and John Lee Bottom. Phoenix's parents named him after the River of Life from the Hermann Hesse novel Siddhartha, and he received his middle name from the Beatles' song Hey Jude. In an interview with People, Phoenix described his parents as hippie-ish. His mother was born in New York to Jewish parents whose families had emigrated from Russia and Hungary. His father was a lapsed Catholic from Fontana, California, of English, German, and French ancestry. In 1968, Phoenix's mother traveled across the United States. While hitchhiking in California, she met John Lee Bottom. They married on September 13, 1969, less than a year after meeting. Phoenix's family moved cross-country when he was very young. Phoenix has stated that they lived in a desperate situation. Phoenix often played guitar while he and his sister sang on street corners for money and food to support their ever-growing family. Phoenix never attended formal school. Screenwriter Naomi Foner later commented, "He was totally without education. I mean, he could read and write, and he had an appetite for it, but he had no deep roots into any kind of sense of history or literature." George Sluizer claimed Phoenix was dyslexic. Children of God. In 1973, the family joined the religious organization known as the Children of God. His family settled in Caracas, Venezuela, where the Children of God had stationed them to work as missionaries and fruit gatherers. According to Vanity Fair, Phoenix was raped at the age of 4. In an interview with Details magazine in November 1991, Phoenix stated he lost his virginity at age 4 while in the Children of God, but he had blocked it out. Although Phoenix rarely talked about the cult, he was quoted in an article published in Esquire in 1994 as having said, "They're disgusting, they're ruining people's lives." In 2019, his brother Joaquin would claim that River was joking, saying, "It was a complete and total joke. It was just fucking with the press. It was literally a joke, because he was so tired of being asked ridiculous questions by the press." Arlene and John eventually grew disillusioned with the church. Acting career. 1980–1985, early work and acting background. Back in the United States, Arlene began working as a secretary for an NBC broadcaster and John as an exteriors architect. Talent agent Iris Burton spotted River, Joaquin, and their sisters Summer and Rain singing for Spare Change in Westwood, Los Angeles, and was so charmed by the family that she soon represented the 4 siblings. Phoenix started doing commercials for Mitsubishi, Ocean Spray, and Saks Fifth Avenue, and soon afterward he and the other children were signed by Paramount Pictures casting director Penny Marshall. River and Rain were assigned immediately to a show called Real Kids as audience warm-up performers. In 1980, Phoenix began to fully pursue his career as an actor, making his first appearance on a TV show called Fantasy Singing with his sister Rain. In 1982, Phoenix was cast in the short-lived CBS television series, 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, in which he starred as youngest brother Guthrie McFadden. Phoenix arrived at the auditions with his guitar and promptly burst into a convincing Elvis Presley impersonation, charming the show producer. By this age, Phoenix was also an accomplished tap dancer. Almost a year after 7 Brides ended in 1983, Phoenix found a new role in the 1984 television movie Celebrity, in which he played the part of young Jeffy Crawford. Although only on screen for about 10 minutes, his character was central. Less than a month after Celebrity came the ABC after-school special, Backwards, The Riddle of Dyslexia. Phoenix starred as a young boy who discovers he has dyslexia. Joaquin starred in a small role alongside his brother. In September, the pilot episode of short-lived TV series It's Your Move aired. Phoenix was cast as Brian and only had one line of dialogue. He also starred as Robert Kennedy's son, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., in the TV movie Robert Kennedy and His Times. After his role in Dyslexia was critically acclaimed, Phoenix was almost immediately cast in a major role in made-for-TV movie Surviving, A Family in Crisis. He starred as Philip Brogan alongside Molly Ringwald and Heather O'Rourke. Halfway through the filming of Surviving, Iris Burton contacted him about a possible role in the film Explorers. In October 1984, Phoenix secured the role of geeky boy scientist Wolfgang Muller in Joe Dante's big-budget science fiction film Explorers alongside Ethan Hawke, and production began soon after. Released in the summer of 1985, this was Phoenix's first major motion picture role. In October 1986, Phoenix co-starred alongside Tuesday Weld and Geraldine Fitzgerald in the acclaimed CBS television movie Circle of Violence, a family drama, which told a story of domestic elder abuse. This was Phoenix's last television role before achieving film stardom. 1986–1993, critical success in I Stand By Me/I Running on Empty/I My Own Private Idaho/I None. Unreleased and unfilmed projects. Phoenix's sudden death prevented him from playing various roles. Phoenix was due to begin work on Neil Jordan's Interview with the Vampire 2 weeks after his death. He was to play the part of Daniel Malloy, the interviewer, which then went to Christian Slater, who donated his entire $250,000 salary to 2 of Phoenix's favorite charitable organizations, Earth Save and Earth Trust. The film has a dedication to Phoenix after the end credits. The Guardian suggested in 2003 it was likely that Phoenix would have followed by appearing as Susan Sarandon's son in Safe Passage, a role that went to Sean Astin. Phoenix had signed on to the lead role in Broken Dreams, a screenplay written by John Borman and Neil Jordan, and co-starring Winona Ryder. The film was put on hold due to Phoenix's death. In June 2012, it was announced that Caleb Landry Jones had been cast in the role. Gus Van Sant had persuaded Phoenix to agree to play the role of Cleve Jones in Milk when he was originally planning on making the movie in the early 1990s. The role was eventually played by Emil Hirsch in 2008. When asked in Interview magazine, "You were going to do a movie with River about Andy Warhol, right?" Van Sant said, "Yeah. River kind of looked like Andy in his younger days. But that project never really went forward." In 1988, Phoenix was reportedly carrying around a copy of the 1978 memoir The Basketball Diaries. He had heard a movie version was in the works and wanted to play the autobiographical role of Jim Carroll. The film was sent into hiatus on numerous occasions, with Phoenix being cited as the main contender for the role each time. The Basketball Diaries was made in 1995 with 19-year-old Leonardo DiCaprio in the lead. He had expressed interest in playing the 19th-century poet Arthur Rimbaud in Total Eclipse by Polish director Agnieszka Holland. Phoenix died before the movie was cast, with the role eventually going to Leonardo DiCaprio. Music. Although Phoenix's movie career was generating most of the income for his family, it has been stated by close friends and relatives that his true passion was music. Phoenix was a singer, songwriter, and accomplished guitarist. He had begun teaching himself guitar at age 5 and had stated in an interview for E! in 1988 that his family's move to Los Angeles when he was 9 was so that he and his sister could become recording artists. I fell into commercials for financial reasons and acting became an attractive concept. Before securing an acting agent, Phoenix and his siblings tried to forge a career in music by playing cover versions on the streets of the Westwood district of LA, often being moved along by police because gathering crowds would obstruct the sidewalk. From the first fruits of his film success, Phoenix saved $650 to obtain his prized possession, a guitar with which he wrote what he described as progressive, ethereal folk rock. While working on A Night in the Life of Jimmy Reardon in 1986, Phoenix had written and recorded a song, Hard to Get, specifically for the end credits of the movie. 20th Century Fox cut it from the completed film, but director William Richard put it back into place for his director's cut some years later. It was during filming that Phoenix met Chris Blackwell of Island Records. This meeting would later secure Phoenix a 2-year development deal with the label. Phoenix disliked the idea of being a solo artist and relished collaboration, therefore he focused on putting together a band. Ale Cause Attic were formed in 1987 and the lineup included his sister Rain. Phoenix was committed to gaining credibility by his own merit and maintained that the band would not use his name when securing performances that were not benefits for charitable organizations. Phoenix's first release was Across the Way, co-written with bandmate Josh McKay, which was released in 1989 on a benefit album for PETA titled Tame Yourself. In 1991, Phoenix wrote and recorded a spoken word piece called Curry Curry for Milton Nascimento's album TXAI. Also in 1991, the Ale Cause Attic track Too Many Colors was used in the film My Own Private Idaho, which included Phoenix in a starring role. Ale Cause Attic disbanded in 1992, but Phoenix continued writing and performing. While working on the film The Thing Called Love in 1993, Phoenix wrote and recorded the song Lone Star State of Mine, which he performs in the movie. The song was not included on the film's soundtrack album. In 1996, the Ale Cause Attic track Note to a Friend was released on the 1996 benefit album In Defense of Animals, Volume 2 and featured Flea of Red Hot Chili Peppers on bass. Phoenix had collaborated with friend John Frusciante after his first departure from Red Hot Chili Peppers and the songs Height Down and Well I've Been were released on Frusciante's second solo album Smile from the Streets You Hold in 1997. Phoenix was an investor in the original House of Blues in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which opened its doors to the public after serving a group of homeless people on Thanksgiving Day 1992. Activism. Phoenix was a dedicated animal rights and environmental activist. He was a vegan from the age of 7. He was a prominent spokesperson for PETA and won their humanitarian award in 1992 for his fundraising efforts. His first girlfriend Martha Plimpton recalled, "Once when we were 15, River and I went out for a fancy dinner in Manhattan, and I ordered soft-shell crabs. He left the restaurant and walked around on Park Avenue, crying. I went out and he said, 'I love you so much.' Why? He had such pain that I was eating an animal, that he hadn't impressed on me what was right." In 1990, Phoenix wrote an environmental awareness essay about Earth Day targeted at his young fan base, which was printed in 17 magazine. He financially aided a great many environmental and humanitarian organizations, and bought 800 acres of endangered rainforest in Costa Rica. As well as giving speeches at rallies for various groups, Phoenix and his band often played environmental benefits for well-known charities as well as local ones in the Gainesville, Florida area. He campaigned for Bill Clinton in the 1992 U.S. presidential election. Personal life. In February 1986, during the filming of The Mosquito Coast, Phoenix began a romance with his CO star Martha Plimpton. They had met a year earlier but initially disliked one another. They also CO starred in the 1988 film Running on Empty before the relationship ended in June 1989 due to Phoenix's drug use. The two maintained a close friendship until his death. Plimpton later stated, "When we split up, a lot of it was that I had learned that screaming, fighting, and begging wasn't going to change him. He had to change himself, and he didn't want to yet." A Roman au clef pink by director Gus Van Sant asserts that Phoenix was not a regular drug user but only an occasional one, and that the actor had a more serious problem with alcohol. Phoenix had always tried to hide his addictions because he feared that they might ruin his career as they did his relationship with Plimpton. For the last year of his life, in 1993, he dated his The Thing Called Love CO star Samantha Mathis. Mathis was with Phoenix on the night he died. Death. In late October 1993, Phoenix had returned to Los Angeles after flying back from 1 week in New Mexico. Before that, he had spent 6 to 7 weeks in Utah to complete the 3 weeks of interior shots left on his last project, Dark Blood. The film was finally completed in 2012. In his book Running with Monsters, Bob Forrest wrote that Phoenix spent the days preceding his death on a drug binge with John Frusciante from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Phoenix and John Frusciante were consuming cocaine and heroin and had not slept for several days. On the evening of October 30, 1993, Phoenix arrived at the Viper Room, a Hollywood nightclub partly owned by Johnny Depp, with his girlfriend Samantha Mathis and his brother Joaquin and sister Rain. Phoenix was to perform with the band P. The band featured Phoenix's friends Flea and John Frusciante from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Gibby Haynes of the Butthole Surfers, Al Jourgensen of Ministry, and Depp. According to Bob Forrest, during the performance by P., Phoenix tapped him on the shoulder to tell him he was not feeling well and that he thought he had overdosed. Forrest said to Phoenix that he did not think that he was overdosing because he could stand and talk. Nonetheless, he offered to take Phoenix home, but Phoenix declined, saying he was feeling better. A few moments later, a commotion erupted in the club and Forrest went outside to find Mathis screaming as Phoenix was lying on the sidewalk having convulsions. Unable to determine whether Phoenix was breathing, Joaquin called 911. Rain proceeded to give Phoenix mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. According to Gibby Haynes, the band was performing their song Michael Stipe while Phoenix was outside the venue having seizures on the sidewalk. When the news filtered through the club, Flea left the stage and rushed outside. By that time, paramedics had arrived on the scene and found Phoenix turning cyanotic, suffering from cardiac arrest, and asystolic. They administered medication in an attempt to restart his heart. When the ambulance arrived, Phoenix was still alive, and Flea accompanied him to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Attempts to resuscitate Phoenix at the hospital were unsuccessful. He was pronounced dead at 1:51 a.m. PST on the morning of October 31, 1993, at the age of 23. Aftermath. Years later, Samantha Mathis said that during her relationship with Phoenix, she had known him to be sober. However, Mathis added that in the moments immediately prior to his death, she knew something was going on. Mathis added, I didn't see anyone doing drugs, but he was high in a way that made me feel uncomfortable. She added that the heroin that killed him didn't happen until he was in the Viper room. Mathis went to the restroom, and on her way back to the table, she saw Phoenix scuffling with another man. The bouncers removed both men from the club. Mathis shouted at the other man, "What have you done? What are you on?" Another person responded, "Leave him alone, you're spoiling his high." By that time, Phoenix had fallen to the ground and begun to convulse. Following Phoenix's death, the club became a makeshift shrine, with fans and mourners leaving flowers, pictures and candles on the sidewalk, as well as graffiti messages on the walls of the venue. A sign was placed in the window that read, "With much respect and love to River and his family, the Viper Room is temporarily closed. Our heartfelt condolences to all his family, friends, and loved ones. He will be missed." The club remained closed for a week. Depp continued to close the club every year on October 31 until selling his share in 2004. The autopsy report, finalized on November 15, 1993, stated that there were high concentrations of morphine and cocaine in the blood, as well as other substances in smaller concentrations. The cause of death was acute multiple drug intoxication. On November 24, 1993, Arlene Phoenix published an open letter in the Los Angeles Times on her son's life and death. It read, in part, "His friends, co-workers, and the rest of our family know that River was not a regular drug user. He lived at home in Florida with us and was almost never a part of the club scene in Los Angeles. He had just arrived in LA from the pristine beauty and quietness of Utah, where he was filming for 6 weeks. We feel that the excitement and energy of the Halloween nightclub and party scene were way beyond his usual experience and control. How many other beautiful young souls, who remain anonymous to us, have died by using drugs recreationally? It is my prayer that River's leaving in this way will focus the attention of the world on how painfully the spirits of his generation are being worn down. River made such a big impression during his life on Earth. He found his voice and found his place. And even River, who had the whole world at his fingertips to listen, felt deep frustration that no one heard. What is it going to take? Chernobyl wasn't enough. Exxon Valdez wasn't enough. A bloody war over oil wasn't enough. If River's passing opens our global heart, then I say, thanks dear, beloved son, for yet another gift to all of us." Phoenix's father was angry at John Frusciante over his son's death. In an interview, he said, "If I find him, I'm going to kill him. He's very rich and very young, 23, like River, but he's a terrible addict who's become a pusher." The family never pressed charges against anyone for their son's death. Before his death, Phoenix's image, one he bemoaned in interviews, had been squeaky clean, owing in part to his public dedication to his various social, political, humanitarian, and dietary interests that were not always popular in the 1980s. As a result, his death elicited a vast amount of coverage from the media. Phoenix was described by one writer as the vegan James Dean, and comparisons were made regarding the youth and sudden deaths of both actors. Phoenix was cremated and his ashes were scattered at the family ranch in Micanopy, Florida. Legacy. Actors who have credited Phoenix as a major influence as well as paving the way for them include Leonardo DiCaprio, Jared Leto, James Franco, and many more. During his acceptance speech for Best Actor at the 92nd Academy Awards, Joaquin Phoenix honored his brother by stating, when he was 17, "My brother wrote this lyric. He said, 'Run to the rescue with love and peace will follow.'" Joaquin and partner Rooney Mara named their son, River, after him. In culture and media, Phoenix's status as a teen idol and promising young actor, and his subsequent premature death, made him a frequent subject in popular culture media. He first gained references in music with Brazilian singer Milton Nascimento writing the song River Phoenix, letter to a young actor about him after having seen Phoenix in the Mosquito Coast. The song appears on the 1989 release Milton's. Gus Van Sant, with whom Phoenix worked in the film My Own Private Idaho, dedicated his 1993 movie Even Cowgirls Get the Blues as well as his 1997 novel Pink to him. Experimental Santa Cruz filmmaker Kim Archer also produced a documentary called Drowning River Phoenix as part of his American Fame series. Phoenix was the subject of a controversial song by Australian group TISM titled "Oh Man River." The single originally featured a mock-up of Phoenix's tombstone as its cover art in 1995. The chorus features the line, "I'm on the drug that killed River Phoenix." A lesser-known reference to River Phoenix was Final Fantasy VIII's main protagonist Squall Leonhardt. Tetsuya Nomura, the lead character designer for the game, stated he modeled Squall on River's visage during development, and even gave Squall the same birth date. The scene of Phoenix's death also merits several mentions in William Gibson's book Spook Country. Rapper Tyler, the creator, references Phoenix in his 2017's Flower Boy, perceived by some critics as a kind of coming-out album, as a sex symbol. In the song I Ain't Got Time, he writes in the first verses, "Boy, I need a Kleenex. How I got this far? Boy, I can't believe it. That I got this car, so I take the scenic. Passenger a white boy, look like River Phoenix." In July 2020, it was reported that Phoenix heavily influenced the forthcoming novel by British novelist Guy Mankowski, Dead Rock Stars, in which a character is named after him. In River, a song from Tiger Lily, Natalie Merchant defends Phoenix as she castigates the media for systematically dissecting the child actor after his death. Belinda Carlisle's 1996 song California refers to Phoenix's death. "I remember I was in the tanning salon / when I heard that River Phoenix was gone / they say that only the good die young / but that ain't true where I come from / California, California." Honors and rankings. Phoenix has been ranked numerous times on a number of lists recognizing his talent and career. He was listed as one of 12 promising new actors of 1986 in John Willis' Screen World. Phoenix was voted at number 64 on a Greatest Movie Stars of All Time poll by Channel 4 Television in the UK. The poll was made up wholly of votes from prominent figures of the acting and directing communities. He was ranked number 86 in Empire magazine's The Top 100 Movie Stars of All Time list in 1997. His life and death has been the subject of an True Hollywood Story, an A&E biography and an episode of Final 24, which contains a dramatic reconstruction of his final hours and death. He was also referred to as this century's James Dean in episode 10 of the first season of Being Erica. His death was listed as number 16 in the top 101 events in Television's 101 Most Shocking Moments in Entertainment. In 2010, Phoenix was voted by GQ magazine as one of the 50 most stylish men of the past half-century. Filmography. Film. Television. Music videos.